The Rolling Stones are an English rock band formed in London in 1962. The first stable lineup consisted of bandleader Brian Jones, guitar, harmonica, keyboards, Mick Jagger, lead vocals, harmonica, Keith Richards, guitar, vocals, Bill Wyman, bass guitar, Charlie Watts, drums, and Ian Stewart, piano. Stewart was removed from the official lineup in 1963 but continued to work with the band as a contracted musician until his death in 1985. The band's primary songwriters, Jagger and Richards, assumed leadership after Andrew Loog Oldham became the group's manager. Jones left the band less than a month before his death in 1969, having already been replaced by Mick Taylor. Taylor left in 1974 and was replaced in 1975 by Ronnie Wood, who has since remained. Since Wyman's departure in 1993, Darryl Jones has served as touring bassist. The Stones have not had an official keyboardist since 1963, but have employed several musicians in that role, including Jack Nitzsche (1965 to 1971), Nicky Hopkins (1967 to 1982), Billy Preston (1971 to 1981), Ian Mulligan (1978 to 1981), and Chuck Leavell from 1982 to present. The Rolling Stones were at the forefront of the British invasion of bands that became popular in the United States in 1964 and were identified with the youthful and rebellious counterculture of the 1960s. Rooted in blues and early rock and roll, the band started out playing covers but found more success with their own material. Songs such as I Can't Get No Satisfaction and Paint It Black became international hits, and Aftermath 1966, their first entirely original album, has been considered the most important of the band's formative records. After a short period of experimentation with psychedelic rock in the mid-1960s, the group returned to its bluesy roots with Beggar's Banquet (1968), Let It Bleed (1969), Sticky Fingers (1971), and Exile on Main Street (1972). It was during this period they were first introduced on stage as the greatest rock and roll band in the world. The band continued to release commercially successful albums through the 1970s and early 1980s, including Some Girls (1978) and Tattoo You (1981), the two best sellers in their discography. During the 1980s, the band infighting curtailed their output and they only released two more underperforming albums and did not tour for the rest of the decade. Their fortunes changed at the end of the decade, when they released Steel Wheels, 1989, promoted by a large stadium and arena tour, the Steel Wheels Urban Jungle Tour. Since the 1990s, new material has been less frequent. Despite this, the Rolling Stones continue to be a huge attraction on the live circuit. By 2007, the band had 4 of the top 5 highest-grossing concert tours of all time: Voodoo Lounge Tour, 1994-1995, Bridges to Babylon Tour, 1997-1998, Licks Tour, 2002-2003, and A Bigger Bang, 2005-2007. Musicologist Robert Palmer attributes the endurance of the Rolling Stones to their being rooted in traditional verities, in rhythm and blues and soul music. While more ephemeral pop fashions have come and gone, the Rolling Stones were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1989 and the UK Music Hall of Fame in 2004. Rolling Stone magazine ranked them 4th on the 100 Greatest Artists of All Time list, and their estimated record sales is 240 million. They have released 30 studio albums, 23 live albums and numerous compilations. Let It Bleed, 1969, marked the first of 5 consecutive #1 studio and live albums in the UK. Sticky Fingers, 1971, was the first of 8 consecutive #1 studio albums in the US. Their latest album, Blue and Lonesome, 2016, became their 12th UK #1 album. In 2008, the band were listed 10th on the Billboard Hot 100 All-Time Top Artists chart, and in 2019 Billboard magazine ranked them 2nd in their list of the greatest artists of all time. In 2012, the band celebrated its 50th anniversary. The group continues to sell out venues, with their recent No Filter tour running for 2 years and concluding in August 2019.
Well, here we are at the hotel room of the Rolling Stones. Would it be too corny to say the Rolling Stones who gather no muss? Oh, no, forget it, eh? Has everybody said that to you so far? Or made puns in America?
Well, in certain places, one finds that they say it. Other places, they don't.
Okay, so we didn't say it here today. We'd like to meet the fellas right now, starting off with...
Bill. Brian Jones, what you do?
Mick Jagger, Keith Richards.
We're going to try and get the others. In Montreal, but not for the first time in North America. You've been here before, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been to the States 4 times altogether, twice to work and twice on a visit, passing through to Australia.
You weren't too impressed with the South, were you, Bill?
Well, the Midwest and that is a bit quiet. But you don't have to go to the Midwest, do you?
No, I guess not. What are some of the towns that impressed you the most through the States, Brian?
New York and Los Angeles are about the only ones that impressed, actually. And they did impress us very much. We like them. I think Chicago's all right. And there's a little place in Texas called San Antonio, which we had a good time in. But, I like the States, but with reservations.
What reservation?
Well, I don't like some of the American attitudes.
Are they...
So we'll go into it.
No? Okay, we won't offend any American audiences. In Canada, have you worked before, Mick?
We've never worked here before. We tried to get in once, I think. We kept another passport. We could have got out of America into Canada. We couldn't have got back into America again.
Keith lost his
That was when we were in Detroit.
Oh, I see. There's a lot of red tape involved. I suppose, did you want to go to Windsor? Or...
Yeah, right.
That's right. And they wouldn't let you cross.
No, because they let us cross. They said it was very doubtful they let us back in again. And since we had to play in Detroit that night, there wasn't much point in going.
That's a really friendly attitude, eh?
I've landed in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
On the way back from Los Angeles last time. I was going back from Los Angeles to London, left Los Angeles, it was about 85 degrees. Landed about 2 hours later in Winnipeg, and it was -1.
Oh boy, that's quite a change. Do you get a chance to get out, to see some of the towns that you go to?
Yeah. Yeah, we do sort of, we go out and about.
Oh.
Go shopping or go to a club in the evening, you know. We like to get about a bit. You know, you can become so trapped in hotels, you feel like you're in prison, you know, so it's nice to get out.
How long will this North American tour be lasting?
About 4 weeks, I think. And then we go back. I don't know what we do when we get back, exactly. We're going to Scotland.
Scandinavia.
Scandinavia?
We're going back to Scandinavia. We were in Scandinavia about 3 weeks ago. And then we came straight virtually from Paris to here. We had 2 days in London. We came from Paris, London here.
You must have had a good time in Paris, eh?
Oh yeah, Paris, I like Paris. We've been there a couple of times.
What are some of your favorite groups? I guess you know some personally when you admire some of their work musically. Ryan?
Well, I mean, we all like virtually the same American artists. I don't know whether you're talking about American sort of artists or the English groups, you know, I don't know. We like I don't know, like James Brown and Solomon Burke and Ruth and Pickett and people like that. Don't we, fellas?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's unanimous. Has there been any reaction to the American groups going over the Tamla Motown review with the Supremes and Marvin Gaye and people like this? Any reaction? Any?
Marvin Gaye didn't go. And unfortunately, there was no reaction. The whole tour bombed terribly. There's been the British musical press and the record company blurbs they've been saying, oh, there's a great big sort of Tamla Motown scene in England. Everybody wants to see them. In actual fact, they don't. Although the Supremes had a couple of very big hit records. And that's about all. You know, nobody else. Marvin Gaye's never had a hit, unfortunately.
No,
Marvin to cut a little hit thing in England.
Unfortunately.
And especially, they did well in London, you know, which was inevitable, really, because it wasn't quite a good show. But outside of London, they did nothing.
In Bristol, I believe, I was told that in Bristol, which is a big city, they only sold about £8 worth of tickets.
£8 worth of tickets?
That's about, what's that, that's about just over $20 worth of tickets, that's all. So they gave the rest of the seats away and it was still only about half full.
What's the reason for this? Because we've had so many British groups coming over here. Lack of taste.
Oh, no, but they're not outside of London. You see, in London, Tamla Motown people say, oh yes, Tamla Motown's great and everything, and they will go and see them. But outside London, they're not really interested. And it was billed as a Tamla Motown review. If it had been billed, say, as the Supremes, you know, and Georgie Fame, who happened to be on the bill, who had a #1 record. It would have been done better, but they built it Tamla Motown outside of London. People are very different.
Know what it was all about. I mean, what's Tamla? They probably thought Tamla Motown was a person, you know.
Well, listen, next week we're going to come back and we're going to find out more about you and find out about your aspirations and about your stay here in Montreal, okay? Perspiration is done? Okay. The Rolling Stones here, and join us again, of course, next week for part 2 of our interview, okay? Before music came along and the Rolling Stones, Johnny?
I was a designer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In what field? In fashion or?
Advertising.
In advertising? Would you like to get back into this field eventually? Do you still have a big interest in? No?
That's Mick Jagger answer.
The Rolling Stones have assimilated various musical genres into their own collective sound. Throughout the band's career, their musical contributions have been marked by a continual reference and reliance on musical styles including blues, psychedelia, R&B, country, folk, reggae, dance, and world music, exemplified by Jones' collaboration with the master musicians of Jagger, as well as traditional English styles that use stringed instruments like harps. Brian Jones experimented with the use of non-traditional instruments such as the sitar and slide guitar in their early days. The group started out covering early rock and roll and blues songs, and have never stopped playing live or recording cover songs. Jagger and Richards had a shared admiration of Jimmy Reed, Muddy Waters, and Howlin' Wolf. Little Walter influenced Brian Jones. Richards recalls, he was more into T-Bone Walker and jazz blues stuff. We'd turn him onto Chuck Berry and say, look, it's all the same shit, man, and you can do it. Charlie Watts, a traditional jazz drummer, was also introduced to the blues through his association with the pair. Keith and Brian turned me on to Jimmy Reed and people like that. I learned that Earl Phillips was playing on those records like a jazz drummer, playing swing, with a straight 4. Jagger, recalling when he first heard the likes of Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, Muddy Waters, Fats Domino, and other major American R&B artists, said it seemed the most real thing he had heard up to that point. Similarly, Keith Richards, describing the first time he listened to Muddy Waters, said it was the most powerful music he had ever heard, the most expressive. He also recalled, when you think of some dopey, spotty 17-year-old from Dartford, who wants to be Muddy Waters, and there were a lot of us, in a way, very pathetic, but in another way, it was very heartwarming. Despite the Rolling Stones' predilection for blues and R&B numbers on their early live set lists, the first original compositions by the band reflected a more wide-ranging interest. Critic Richie Unterberger described the first Jagger-Richards single, Tell Me, You're Coming Back, as a pop-rock ballad. When Jagger and Richards began to write songs, they were usually not derived from the blues, but were often surprisingly slow, Mersey-type pop numbers. As Tears Go By, the ballad originally written for Marianne Faithfull, was one of the first songs written by Jagger and Richards and one of many written by the duo for other artists. Jagger said of the song, "It's a relatively mature song considering the rest of the output at the time. And we didn't think of recording it, because the Rolling Stones were a butch blues group." The Rolling Stones did later record a version which became a top 5 hit in the US.
And the next is gradual withdrawals of 10,000. So we'll search for horrible.
Yeah, just take it calmly, we'll be able to get through the whole thing. It doesn't help if everyone shouts. Now, if everyone would like to take it nice and calmly, we'll be able to hear the questions and answer them. The first question's down here.
Mr. Jagger, on Monday, the Presidential Commission on the Causes and Prevention of Natural Ways to reduce the level of violence and antagonism in the United States is
the whole people.
It's to back off on the penalties imposed for use of marijuana. Can you give us your perspective?
I mean, I don't think that's if all the penalties for marijuana are revoked, it's going to stop people buying guns. If that's what you mean, I don't really think that's going to help. I mean, the only thing that the change in that law will help is the antagonism between the young people and the police.
Do you think it would be a significant help?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would stop the running fight between the police and the young people.
Mr. Jagger, what are your impressions of the United States?
Pretty wide, sir.
You were looking for a long time. You've not been back. Does it look any different in the rest of it?
No, we were back. I was back here last year, isn't it? It's great. It changes. I mean, it just explodes all the time. You know, it's carrying on exploding.
What's your update? How's it looking to you? What are you feeling?
It looks. You look even more beautiful than ever.
Can you give us your views on the current war in Vietnam?
You know, I think so. Yeah, I did manage to catch a glimpse. No, you have to apply to Ed Sullivan Productions. They blocked the vocal out because they allowed us to say the words, and then when we said the words, they blocked it out. But, you know, I mean, it doesn't really matter, you know. It's all a joke. I mean, it's a washing machine, and then it's you, and then it's a soap powder. I mean, what does it really matter, you know?
Question in. Abby Hoffman has announced that your appearance in Boston is free and open to public as far as he's concerned. That's nice of him.
Good. Well, I mean, I hope he comes along with all his friends. I mean, it's, you know, that's fine.
How do you like Mark Steve's like this one?
Well, you're very polite. No, this is like being in the front row of a concert, like Philadelphia, you know what I mean? It's quite simple.
What is your political philosophy concerning revolutionary movements all around the world?
How many words are we allowed today? Well, come on, mate. You can't ask a question like that at a thing like this. I mean, it's just impossible. But I mean, we're right behind you, you know what I mean? If that's what you want, you know what I mean?
One of your most famous songs was Satisfaction. I wonder about the group of you. Are you any more satisfied now?
Do you mean sexually or philosophically? Yeah, we're more satisfied now sexually. Financially dissatisfied, sexually satisfied, philosophically trying.
The Rolling Stones have gotten older since you started.
Yeah, inevitably.
Have you found yourself changing any at all, Mr. Jagger? I mean, phenomena like this, certainly at one time, for instance, Frank Sinatra used to hold news conferences like the same one. Where do you think of it?
What did he used to do? Did he used to burst into song?
The thrust of what I was asking is, how many years do you find yourself changed any at all by the years gone by?
Wiser. Little wiser.
A little sadder, perhaps?
A little sadder? No.
We have a question on the right.
Mick Taylor. Wait up.
How do you feel playing to somebody with so much love?
In regards to the question,
There's a question here on the right, Mick.
I read in one of the papers that you...
Concert in San Francisco.
When?
On December 6th. And the location is not Golden Gate Park, unfortunately, but it's somewhere adjacent to it, which is a bit larger, which I won't know.
Question here. What was your reaction to your concert in Hyde Park back in June?
It was great. I mean, it's very weird. Because we never played that many people before. It was... Nobody else has, no.
What do you think about John Lennon's returning the medal, Order of British?
At last. Yes, it's a long time. He should have done it as soon as he got it, I thought. But it is a good thing to do. I mean, it's a good thing to do.
Do you think the question for holding on to the Order of the British Empire medal that they were awarded?
Sorry, I
Do
didn't
you
get...
think that Paula and George and
Ringo
are wrong?
Well, they should wear it if they're going to... Yeah, I wish you were to wear it. They should, yeah. I mean, they're individuals. If John's very sort of into that, and the others just couldn't care less about
What do you think about his protest? Do you agree? Would you have done it yourself?
Well, we never got it in the first place, man. It just doesn't occur to us about that. They're organised, perhaps.
Someone over there has been trying to ask questions.
In the context of Lennon's action and some of your material, how do you see yourself manifesting your kind of revolutionary commitment outside of the music?
Outside of the music, the revolutionary
Like you were
content.
an Omega Rock in LA, in the States that means that you support rap music.
Oh, I thought it stood for infinity. Or a watch. That's even better.
The question here, back again, ever increasing.
Well, it's from one, in one, you can't, I can't...
People are liking each other.
Yeah, they can get together without any problems. And that's what they want to do. I mean, it's creating a sort of microcosmic society for that weekend, which it sets an example to the rest of America as to how one can behave in large gatherings.
There's a question here, film career.
Fair to middling.
Could I ask, please, that people...
Nitty-gritty. Moving about
He's
section.
not the same guy you are, huh?
Well, he's about 10 years older than me.
The question there.
Well, ask Bill Wyman, where is he?
Sorry, we didn't hear.
I didn't know there was there one? I didn't. Oh, yeah, I remember. I don't know, man. It's time. Well, we can't do everything.
You're it. Who's next?
Mick Jagger, it's also going to be a concert for the silent majority. Hey, Bernie.
You all make up your minds who the silent majority is.
Mick Jagger, for 2 years you played with the John Mayall group. How would you compare playing with that group to playing with the Rolling Stones? Which do you like better? And how would you classify the music the Rolling Stones play? It doesn't really compare at all.
Mick Jagger. The older people are going to have a reaction against it.
Having a bonfire in my room. In my room. Just before a bit lingering. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. God bless you all.
There they are. There they are. Okay, the Rolling Stones are pulling in track 24. I thought it was 42. It's track 24 at Grand Central Station in New York City. Slowly easing into their berth here. I'm not sure I'd know this if I didn't already know it by looking at this. But the train is going to deposit them on the platform. They'll be inundated by press, no doubt.
Speaking to the mic.
And in moments, they'll be here. Can everybody see that up there? They may be a little winded. Apparently, they just flew in from London last night. Okay, they're pulling in. They're going to be up here in moments, and they're going to be taking questions from the press. I hope you have one or two. I know I do. After this, they're going to be, I don't know how long they're going to be here. After this, they're going to be taking off to start rehearsals for their tour, which does start on September 1st in Buffalo. Okay, is the train back up here? There's the train, hired at great cost, no doubt. Some New York cops. Okay. Okay, this is all going very slowly. The Stones have done this for years, as you probably know. Big press conferences to announce tours and albums. Last time around, I believe they played on a flatbed truck here in New York. They won't be playing here today, but they will be with us soon, we hope. Do we see them? No, we don't see them yet. But there's the banner, Steel Wheels logo. The Steel Wheels referring apparently to scratch DJ turntables as opposed to, and here comes somebody. They're going in to get the Rolling Stones off. And here we have Charlie Watts, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Ronnie Wood, Bill Wyman, and their entourage. Posing for photos now. Just think in moments they'll be here with us. They look pretty good. Keith and Ronnie look really happy. All right, I guess a few photos, then they'll be in here with us. The album is apparently just about done. I think they got most of it mixed. They're still working on it a little bit here in New York, I understand. Here they come. Over here to our left somewhere, we'll see them straggling in. All right, any minute, any minute, any minute. The door is open. I think we hear their little footsteps. See a lot of flash bulbs. Somebody is coming. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Bill Wyman, Charlie Watts, Ron Wood, the Rolling Stones.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, Bill? Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. We know it's hotter than hell in here. Is it? Yes. Yes, it is. I'm sorry we kept you a little bit waiting. We won't be here forever, so we just do it very quickly. We're very pleased to announce that we're doing a big tour this year, which starts in September the 1st in Buffalo and goes on, and I think you've got all that in little bits of paper. Yes? And we've got a new album which comes out the last week in August, I think, or maybe the first week in September. Yeah. And that's called Steel Wheels, and the first single's called Mixed Emotions. I know you're dying to ask questions like, will this be the last tour you ever do? That's a good one. Or what's another one? How much money are you going to earn on this tour? That's a good. And other things like that. But I won't preempt you completely. But do fire away if you want to ask any questions. I think you should just do it.
Got an extra mic. Very good, Bill.
You like that?
Yeah. Thanks. Mick, I'd like to ask one question. There have been a lot of rumors about who's opening up on this tour. Was it going to be Guns N' Roses? Was it going to be In Excess? But now it's going to be only Living Colour, or what's the deal with opening acts?
It's the negotiations.
Negotiations. Are there going to be other opening acts besides Living Colour?
Yeah, a great group called the Negotiations.
We're going to have Aerosmith and Boomtown Rats and Guns N' Roses and that sort of band. You know, that's got a certain something about it.
Living Colour.
No, there will be some other acts in some places, but I will be announcing those later.
Are there any other questions out here? Passing mics now. What is it?
Boy Gary, 92.3 K-Rock from the Howard Stern Show. Mick, with all the hype and all the rumors that we've been hearing about the fighting between you and Keith, the stuff that was on the cover of Musician, how are you guys doing now? What's the truth? What's going on? Everybody's happy?
The answer to that is we both gave up masochism.
We don't have fights, we just have disagreements.
So everybody's happy now?
Sure.
And hot.
Well put. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Jagger, Robin Carter from Fox Television. You had mentioned money yourself, and there has been quite a lot of talk about how much you would make on this tour. Some rock critics have charged that the only reason you're doing it is for the money.
No, that's the Who. Who said that? Who said that?
True? Not true.
What about love and fame and fortune? Have you forgotten about these important things?
We're doing it for the glory, darling, the glory.
Mark? Mark?
I got a question for Keith. Mark McEwen from CBS News. The question is, you said you always wanted to see what rock and roll was going to be like as you got older, into your late 40s, early 50s. Well, you're there. What are we going to see that's different on this tour that we haven't seen before?
I could answer that better in December, I think. But at least I'm going to find out, right? A good bit of live music for a change.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, Brian Hendel from VH1. This is for the whole band. How would you describe the energy level 25 years ago to now? Same?
Ask my wife.
Sorry, what did you say?
Not that kind of.
How would you describe the energy level?
I'm sorry.
How would you describe the energy level today as compared to 25 years ago?
Hello, Mick. Jesse Nash from Hits Magazine. How do you feel after you were inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last year by Pete Townsend? Do you plan on doing the same for The Who?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said, Jesse Nash from Hits Magazine. I said, last year you were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
We heard you.
We're giving Pete hearing aids when we do that.
What is your feeling about it? You going to do the inductions for The Who this year?
We'd love to give it to him.
Yeah?
No comments?
I think we've done enough for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Hi, Abby Kears from NBC The Source. Back in '81, and this is directed to Mick, they had an article in Life magazine about some of the training physically. You went through all this training. What about this time around? What are you doing to prepare for the tour?
Well, I'm walking around Manhattan at the moment. I don't know. You should do a little bit, but don't think I'll overdo it. You know, I think I've got to take it easy. So I don't think I'll overdo the training. Just a little slow walking and
quick walk
shopping,
across the
maybe.
Himalayas. Scott, come on, what you got?
Go ahead. You have a mic or what?
We're negotiating.
I got one. Stand up.
Is this your last tour? Is this finally your last tour?
No.
Oh, yes! Thank you!
It had to come.
Brilliant. Who was it? Thank you so much. That's a wonderful
You
question.
tell us.
First asked in 1966. No.
Mick, is there any significance in you announcing the dates of this tour just before the anniversary of you starting the band in 1962, which occurs tomorrow when you did a gig at the Marquee Club? Is there any significance to that? Are you listening?
Yes. I wish there was,
very good
but
point.
we didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Wonderful historical
I lost my
note.
diary.
This tour is not a historical tour as such. It's more of a 1989 tour. You know, I mean, I don't see it as a sort of retrospective or a farewell or anything like that. I see it as the Rolling Stones in 1989.
I'm Celeste Ford with WABC TV. You said we were dying to ask you this, and you're right. Why wait? Why now get together for this album, for this tour?
Why not?
Can you elaborate?
I can get very elaborate, but when you got the guys together, then you take it, you know? I mean, these guys, if I can find these four, same as me. If I can get them all together, I'll do it.
Scott?
Scott Muni, NEWFM. Hi, guys.
Hi, Scott.
Welcome.
Hi, Scott.
This is the first of the extended tours, as you've said, many more. Are you going to have supporting cast, people like Bobby Keys and that? Are you going to invite other people to go on tour with you? Going to have a whole cast of characters?
You want a towel? Yeah. I hope so.
Primitive cool.
We're working on the guys, the rest of the guys that'll be with us, but there will be other guys with us, yeah, a few. We got Matt Clifford.
All right, great.
And Chuck Lavelle.
Chris Shepard from CFNY in Toronto. Can you briefly describe the theme and the sound of the new album that we're going to expect? Steel Wheels. Let's hear the new stuff, boys.
Oh, we got the news. You know how to work?
This is what you call a sample. A free sample.
Nice, isn't it? Got a nice beat to it.
I like that.
I got a question for you.
Mick,
Thank you.
Mick,
I got a
what
question.
about your Sue Fleming, Australian Consolidated Press? What about your fans down under? Mick, we're going to see you in Australia?
Well, yes, last year I was there, but we hope to go all around the world in one day. But who knows, Australia might yet get its turn.
Okay.
Last time we checked in with you, we saw you at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Since then, you've written an album. How did you write the album? How was the writing process done?
It's very hard work.
Very quickly.
And where?
In the islands, Montserrat, Barbados. For the winter, you know, something to do.
Keith, I'll have you take this one. Keith, this one's for you. If you were an 18-year-old rock fan, would you want to go to see a 27-year-old band in a stadium or a young up-and-coming band in a club? If you had to spend your $20 on one or the other.
It's not $20 in a club.
It would depend how good they are, man.
Keith, this is for Keith, Ben Lemer from Circus Magazine. Are there any songs in this album that you're singing lead vocals on?
A couple, two, yeah.
Thank you.
Frank Radis from CNN. Hello, over here.
Yes,
down here in this center. Hi there, Frank Radis from CNN. You recorded the album in a whole lot of around the world. Did we get any of those other influences in the music on the album? Why did you do that in all those different places?
Well, it was only we only recorded it in the West Indies, and it was done very quickly. I think
5 weeks.
The thing about the record is it's very compressed. It's done in a very quick time. It's got some rough edges. It's got a lot of different things in it, and we hope you like it. And I think we're all
Mick, over here.
Could you please stop the chanting outside?
Randy
really
Alexander
messing
from the
people's
Trenton
microphones up.
Times. A couple questions. One,
Can we expect to hear any of yours and Keith's solo material on this tour? And two, could you compare this tour at all to your 1981 tour?
Better than 1981. More mature, more rocking, more hard, more steel wheels. No solo material.
And better dressed.
What's next?
Hi, Mark the Shark, WMMR Philadelphia. We're going to welcome you to JFK Stadium. The Who just did a whole bunch of Tommy on their tour. Is there anything special that you might be focusing on?
Oh, are we going to do our rock opera?
The new opera.
A new opera. We'll do our new opera.
New opera?
Yes.
Are you better as the Stones as a group as opposed to individually? Do you feel like complete when you're the Rolling Stones?
Do I feel complete? I feel like a sort of...
It's a group.
Sinker speed. One more question, because my mascara's running.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Mick, I have one more question. What does the album title mean? Is the album title refer to hip-hop scratch DJ turntables, or is it trades? Little easy question.
What was that, Kurt?
What's the title refer to?
The title of the album?
Yeah.
Steel Wheels.
Now boarding Rolling Stones on track 22. All aboard!
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. Sorry it wasn't too hot. Bye. See you there.
Rolling Stones.
From small clubs and hotels in London with little room for Jagger to move around to selling out stadiums worldwide, Rolling Stones tours have changed significantly over the decades. The Stones' early setups were simple compared to what they became later in the band's career, when elaborate stage designs, pyrotechnics and giant screens were used. By the time the Stones toured America in 1969, they began to fill large halls and arenas, such as the Forum in Inglewood, California. They were also using more equipment, including lighting rigs and better sound equipment than they had used in clubs. The 1969 tour is considered a great watershed tour by Mick Jagger because they started hanging the sound and therefore hanging the lights. Attributing the birth of arena rock to the Stones' 1969 U.S. tour, The Guardian ranked it 19 on their list of the 50 key events in rock music history. Before this tour, the loudest sound at large-capacity shows was often the crowd, so the Stones used lighting and sound systems that ensured they could be seen and heard in the biggest arenas. The Guardian commented that their combination of front-of-house excellence and behind-the-scenes savvy took the business of touring to an entirely new level. During the 1972 tour, the Stones developed a complex light show which included giant mirrors that bounced the light off them. During the 1975 tour of the Americas, arena shows became an industry for the band, and the Stones hired a new lighting director, Jules Fisher. The props the band used on stage increased in both size and sophistication, similar to those on Broadway. They started to use multiple stages, from which they would select for a particular show. On this tour they had two versions of what Jagger referred to as the Lotus stage. One version had a large Venetian, cylindrical curtain, and the other had leaves that began in a folded-up position and opened during the beginning of the concert. This period also included a variety of props, including inflatable penises and other gimmicks, and incorporated a number of circus tricks.